Hello everybody and welcome to Gamers Without Borders. This is Test Zero and it is Sunday, March 20th, 2011, and with me as always is my good friend, the Balky to my Larry, Oi, from Pompad Gaming.
Hello.
And today we have a slightly different lineup. Please welcome co-administrator of ReviewersUnknown.com, Ozzie Arcane from PlanetArcane. How are y'all doing this afternoon?
I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah, about the same as ever, really.
Same shit, different day.
Always.
So, our first topic of discussion is the fact, well, Metacritic is now rating iPhone and iPad games. I'm sure you're all familiar with Metacritic, right?
Yeah,
Kind of.
vaguely know it, yeah.
They create an aggregate score by averaging professional and critical scores of games and movies. And they recently begun listing iPhone and iPad games on the site, which it seems like a fairly natural thing to do. But the controversy here, I'm not even sure you could call it controversy, but it's the fact that the iOS platform is being treated as a legitimate gaming system. Not to discredit the developers of these games, of course. I mean, there's a Dead Space game for the iPad. Angry Birds is a simple game, but it sold so many copies, it's really kind of hard to ignore the power of something like that. And I'm not denying that Angry Birds is addictive or popular. I mean, there's a lot of money to be made in mobile games. I'm working on developing some myself, but no, the big issue, we all know it, casual mobile app-based games versus full-on blockbuster titles. That's really the issue here. Nintendo's scared right now. I think we can agree on that. Nintendo is scared. They have kind of come out publicly saying that they're worried about not in so many words, but the DS dominated the portable gaming last generation, and this generation, yeah, last generation and this generation. And then Apple comes in and starts encroaching on their territory. You don't have to buy DS games at $20, $30, $40 for the cartridge. You can get Angry Birds for 99 cents or 59p. And people are eating that game up with a fucking spoon, and it barely costs anything to make.
Didn't Nintendo even kind of admit that their app store sucks compared to Apple's?
Because they put so many just rules and regulations over their app store. They only release like 2 or 3 games a week on each platform.
Though an interesting thing about these iPhone games and stuff like that is, I recently got a PS3, and on the PlayStation Network, they had a game for the Kick-Ass movie, which I guess is also available on iPhone.
I heard that was terrible.
It's not the greatest game, but I've played worse. And it's also available on the iPhone. That's the weird thing. A game that's available on the PlayStation Network is also on the iPhone.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these games are coming out cross-platform. I know Angry Birds is coming out on the 3DS this year.
Of course,
well, I mean, it's a weird thing because I mean, you say that Nintendo is scared, but how worried are they actually going to be? I mean, Nintendo has always had a market, and let's face it, all they need to do is keep pumping out Pokemon games, and they'll be riding high. But I mean, it's the idea that these new platforms are showing up. Mobile phone gaming. I mean, what was the mobile phone gaming console thing? Was it the N-Gage?
Yeah, the N-Gage.
Yeah, I mean
the less said about that thing, the better.
Yeah, I mean that tried and failed monumentally to try to cross the mobile gaming platform. It really
primarily because it was just a hardware piece of crap.
Yeah,
and it had a lot of support from third-party systems. They had Splinter Cell and Metal Gear on there. They had good blockbuster franchises on that, but then it was just a stupid hardware issue. It was you had to take the battery out to change the games. You had to essentially disassemble the phone.
I think the Wii might be more threatened by the iPhones than the DSs, because if you think about it, a lot of iPhone players probably are people that aren't normally big gamers, which is supposedly also the main market for the Wii.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it's weird because mobile gaming is. I mean, we like to think of it as something new, but it's new only in the big sense. I mean, mobile gaming's been around since the original Game Boy first came out, and I think Nintendo is probably worried about more isn't so much as losing the market as losing the majority of the market, which is what they've
Yeah,
always
because
had.
the selling power,
Whereas,
yeah, like if you compare the selling power of the PlayStation 3, the Xbox 360, and the Wii completely dominates them. But if you compare that to the DS was had higher sales than I think every other console combined. That's how popular the DS was. Sorry about that. That's how popular the DS was, and this is just when they're when now they have a thing that people because everybody always has their cell phone with them,
True.
so they don't have to carry around a separate console just for a separate system just for gaming. And not only that, there's really kind of a social stigma surrounding gamers as it is. I've seen the dirty looks people give me when I whip out my DS waiting for the bus. They're like, "Look at these kids! Look at this kid! Of course he's waiting for the bus. He's too immature to have a driver's license by now." He's playing a video game. Meanwhile, someone takes out their iPhone behind me and starts playing Ninja Chef or Bejeweled. Nobody bats an eye. I mean, he's doing something with his phone. He could be checking his email or reading the Wall Street Journal. No, this is a kid with a DS. Oh, he's just farting around playing video games. He's not doing anything important. That's just bullshit. I am slaying demons. I am saving the fucking galaxy. I am having relationships with these characters, discovering stories, practicing my puzzle solving skills. The guy playing Bejeweled on the cell phone, he's the one who's wasting his time farting around while he's waiting for a stop.
Honestly, that's a large
uh,
part of the reason why after high school I stopped caring what people thought of me.
oh, I never cared what people thought of me. But I mean, you say that people carry their phones everywhere. I don't. I've got a phone that sits on my bedroom side and it never moves.
Well, do you ever go anywhere?
Yes, thank you very much. I do have a social life outside my bedroom, contrary to popular
Hmm.
belief, I'm sure. Um,
Well,
and
I guess because your schedule is always weird. I always see you online when I'm awake, but you have like 10
yeah,
hours.
yeah, I know. I do have a pretty weird sort of day schedule, if you will.
Not only that, you're also like 8 hours ahead of me, so that combined with your weird personal schedule is just
Yeah, but I mean, it's weird that really the phone has become the social symbol. Really, I mean, in terms of sort of what to do when you're mobile. I mean, that's part of the reason why it was called a mobile phone is because you could take it with you. And now the gaming market has suddenly woken up and gone, hang on a second, what say we throw games at these? Well, I say woken up recently. They woke up to it years ago. They've just tried and failed. As I said,
yeah.
with the
Well,
Engage.
not only that, but now it's finally working.
Yeah.
Like people are buying these things, but the thing is, I don't think it's helping the portrayal of gamers in the eyes of the older people who are playing these kind of games, because a lot of the people who are playing these stuff are kind of older people. It's like I don't know, it's like business executives on their laptop at lunch, stockbrokers on the train during their commute, grandmothers on Facebook. It's really kind of the gaming is a universal pastime now, which is a good sentiment. It's something as gamers we're kind of been forced to try to convince people. Everybody can find a game they can play. It's like, I'm not a big gamer. No, I just play Bejeweled and stuff. But no, you're a gamer. You play video games. But the fact that they're playing all like the silly time waster games, they kind of have this idea that gaming is a sort of passive experience, just something that you kind of do while you're wasting time, while you're not doing anything else important. But if you talk to somebody who spends their time playing World of Warcraft or Mass Effect or anything with a really deep storyline or a lot of social interaction, there's a lot more to it than that.
It's kind of funny when you think about it because we play all these games that have storylines and stuff like that, like what you would see in a movie. But the people that would look down on us as playing these, childish games are the ones that are actually playing the games that have no real point
Yeah,
to it.
it is really very ironic.
But I mean, at the same time, I mean, if you think back to sort of the olden days when games first came out, that's kind of what gaming was. It was kind of just something to do
Yeah,
as a
it was a time
pastime.
waster. You had like Space Invaders and
Yeah, I mean,
Pong,
games
and
didn't
even
really
beyond
have
that, you had like
stories back then, and now it's like it's kind of gaming has evolved into something that's, it's big, it's grand, you have big stories, huge set pieces, special effects going all over the place, and in a way, it's the gaming market is very much like the movie market, in that now that the technology has reached this point, we can do almost anything with it now. But and then again, you have these people coming in, sort of creeping in underneath us, and you have to think, well, these people are saying that gaming is is just a pastime thing. Well, it is a pastime, whether you're playing it seriously or not. You are still passing the time doing this game.
Yeah.
I mean, I have other things to do, but that doesn't mean I'm not passing the time when I'm playing on games.
Yeah, it's no different than people who spend their time reading
Mm. Or
uh,
watching DVDs.
or watching DVDs or just sitting down watching TV.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think a lot of people just see the word game and think less of it. Kind of,
They see game and they think toy. They
Mm.
see toys and games in the same sentence, in the same phrase.
it's almost like we could,
And when really it should be games and movies.
yeah. It's almost like we
Yeah.
could benefit from it having a different name, like if they called it interactive media or something.
But that just sounds kind of pretentious.
Yeah.
True. I
Um.
couldn't think of a better name.
Or it sounds like those CDI games,
Oh God.
interactive
Oh
media.
God.
Yeah. I mean, no, it sounds more like those DVD games you can get. That sounds like interactive media, doesn't it? Those DVD
I actually saw one
game.
of those DVD things that says compatible with the PS2. Which I mean, yeah, technically true because it plays on the PS2's DVD function, but I just think some marketing guy was kind of it just kind of came when he thought of that.
Well,
Oh
I
yeah, we
think,
can say this can play on the PS2. Yay! It's a
well,
proper game.
that's not really why they did that. Originally, the PS2 had issues where it wouldn't play certain DVDs.
I don't think that's what it. I don't think that's what it was because I've seen other DVDs that don't bother saying compatible with the
Yeah.
PS2 when it
But
is.
I have
But
seen non-game DVDs that said that on it. I have a few anime DVDs that say that on it. They kind of did it for a very small amount of time and then realized this is stupid. We're not going to do that anymore.
but no, this was an actual game that said plays on your DVD or and compatible with the PlayStation 2. And it was we've gone on a bit of a we've gone on a bit of a tangent, yeah.
Well,
But
just a tad.
I really do think this is we're going to be facing a massive paradigm shift when the next generation of consoles comes out. It's going to be really interesting to see how things turn out after all this.
What were we
Mm.
talking about again? iPhones?
Like portable casual gaming versus blockbuster gaming.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe.
And then our second topic of the afternoon. In November of last year, World of Warcraft turned 6 years old, which is respectable. But last Wednesday, Everquest Online celebrated its 12th anniversary. There are people still playing this game that was made in 1998, I believe. 1998, 1999. And with a user base of at least 3 million based on the activity in the last 6 months.
Wow.
And I mean, good for them. I mean, Sony's been supporting this game since it came out. There's over 16,000 quests in the game. 16,000 quests. Every one of those quests had to be made by a person. And meanwhile, there's been games that have come out that have come and gone in that same amount of time. Tabula Rasa, All Points Bulletin, the entire original Xbox Live library. Even when the original Xbox Live was shut down, even Demon's Souls, one of the PS3's most successful new franchises, was recently announced that its online component is going to be yanked in October of this year. And I'm really bummed about that because I really wanted to try that one once I got a PS3. Um, do you think it's fair that companies could just up and pull the plug on certain games after we've already spent money on them?
It would. I mean, if you're talking to somebody who doesn't like multiplayer games. I don't play games online at all.
Something like
But
Demon's Souls doesn't have a pure online
mm,
component, but you can still interact with other players. Like players can leave messages for you or like they can leave messages on the walls and floors and stuff. It's like, look out ahead, there's a really strong boss or something,
Mm.
or harvest these. I have not played the game at all. I don't know really how the game works, but I know it's supposed to be really hard, and interacting with other players' messages is actually very important, and it adds a lot to the game itself. So the single player component, even though the actual gameplay is not that different from the multiplayer component, it really does add a lot to the game, a lot of atmosphere and interactivity.
I think it just really depends on the situation with a lot of this stuff. Because we got like speaking, because you brought up EverQuest, you got all those MMOs. Like you had there was Matrix Online that
Yeah,
that
Matrix
that
Online, which is
yeah.
gone.
And the interesting thing about Matrix Online was it got shut down when it was with Sony. But the thing is, it was originally made by a different company and published by Sega. Sony already kind of saved it from dying once before. After a few years later, they decided it wasn't worth keeping it going.
Yeah, I mean, you can't expect these companies to keep supporting games even if it's a waste of money.
Mm.
That'd just be absurd. But I would like to say I have been able to play Tribes, a game that was made in 1998, online with friends without having to hack or finagle any kind of mod or network override. And this is a game that was released for free by the company, that they're not getting any money from it anymore, and I'm still able to play it online. And I think if a company is going to pull the plug on an online component of game, especially in this age of game patches, I think if they're gonna pull support of a game officially, the final patch that they release should provide players a workaround, so they can still
Yeah.
play online with other people, even if the company goes away.
Because if you think about it, a lot of companies didn't always used to run their own servers. I remember
Yeah,
back when online gaming started getting popular on the computers, most games you could really only play it online if you had something like GameSpy.
GameSpy or like a LAN, or you set up a LAN network just at your office or school or whatever, or if you had enough computers at home, you could do that. It's what created the concept of the LAN party.
Yeah. And then you got now you like a lot of games that are on like say Xbox right now probably will still be playable up until whenever the next Xbox generation comes along and Microsoft decides to pull the plug on that, like they did with the original Xbox. But then you got companies like EA that insist on having their own servers when they're just going to close them down in a year when they release the sequel.
Yeah, that is just bullshit.
Granted, I don't really care about sports games, but I can
But yeah,
understand
I
why.
mean, even still, well, with those sports games, a lot of people do kind of buy the game every year, which is just stupid. It's just absurd because all they do is they like, update stats and players, and then that's it. New game, $60.
Mm.
Then some of their other practices, EA in particular, which I don't want people to think I hate EA. I like some of their games, unlike Activision. I hate most of their stuff. But
EA is Japanese for no.
um, they had Lord of the Rings Conquest, which I guess did so poorly they ended up shutting down the servers in less than a year.
Oh,
And the
and
worst
then
thing about that was right after they shut the servers down, they put the game on Microsoft's Games on Demand service. So people and they still have the online only DLC available for purchase, even though you can't use it because the game no longer can be played online.
and that's I'm sure that's just an oversight on their part. I don't think they're actively trying to be malicious, but yeah, that is just stupid. Uh,
Something they really should have
I
been
mean,
paying attention.
I'm sure there's people who bought like a lifetime pass to these games because they sell those now. They sell lifetime passes for these games that it's like for like $140 you can play the game unlimitedly instead of paying like $15 a month.
I can tell you the
Eh,
worst case where that happened. I can't remember what company it was. They released a game called Hellgate London. They had
yes, Hellgate
they had
Yeah,
London.
I
that
got that.
lifetime they had that lifetime pass, and then a few months after the game got released, basically their bankruptcy issues caught up with them, and they had to shut their company and the game down. Even though all these
And
people,
I'm sure they didn't refund the people who bought the lifetime pass because they have no money
yeah, and they
left.
dissolved their company, and so at that point, who are you going to sue?
Yeah, and that is just pure bullshit. I mean, if you're gonna offer a lifetime pass, a lifetime is not 5 months
Yeah,
unless you suffer from SIDS.
yeah, you better well make sure that the game is going to be available long enough for it to be worth that money. Because
Yeah, I mean, like Star Trek Online, that they were offering a lifetime pass, and I don't even think that game is worth playing for very long.
yeah,
I'm not sure it's going to be around much longer
I mean,
anyway.
granted,
I heard it kind of face kind of minor, kind of a lackluster
that's because
launch.
Cryptic
When
sucks.
when people discover that it was basically Guild Wars with a Star Trek skin.
I thought it was Champions with the Star Trek skin.
I haven't played either,
Well,
but
it's the thing is with Cryptic, their their way of doing things have always been kind of bad.
Cryptic.
Yeah.
cryptics.
Uh,
Yeah.
like
Right.
Sorry.
they originally developed City of Heroes until they got to the point where NCSoft bought the publisher bought the game straight from them and sent them off to do their own thing. When they launched Champions, they tried to recruit people off of the City of Heroes forums through the private message system.
uh, is it owned by the same company?
Cryptic, no, City Heroes is not owned by Cryptic. It's owned by NCSoft. Cryptic works for Atari now, and that's who released Champions.
So they were advertising their game on somebody else's s-
Yeah,
site,
because
essentially.
because a few of their developers still had their forum handles from when they worked for NCSoft. So they had to now decide that, whenever anyone leaves their development team, their forum handle is closed.
Hmm.
But that's kind of
Yeah, I could definitely see that as a violation of terms of service, or as like a violation of NDA even.
but yeah, they've like not everybody knows about this stuff because City of Heroes isn't really a very popular game.
My friend plays City of Heroes a lot. It's like the only MMO he actually plays.
But yeah, from various things, it's like I have no faith in Cryptic whatsoever. Supposedly they're going to be making a Neverwinter Nights MMO. I just kind of heard that and it's like, great. So now somebody else is going to screw up Dungeons and Dragons.
There's already Dungeons and Dragons Online. Just play that. It's free.
Yeah, that's the other thing. That was developed by Turbine, and they're both going to be published by Atari. And Turbine basically thinks Atari is trying to just, get them out of the picture now.
Hang on a second. I gotta ask these guys to keep it down. Someone was yelling in the other room. They stopped as soon as I walked out there. Just coincidentally. I don't, okay.
Like, oh crap, it's test zero. Um, where were we?
I think we're just about finished with the topic.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah. And should we go into the AR cards, I guess? Or what was the other alternative topic?
Do we need a third topic? Really?
How long have we gone on for?
I think it's been close
Um,
to a half hour.
25 minutes.
yeah. Do round up of the
Minus
games.
minus about 30 seconds or so.
Yeah. Your choice. I don't have much to
Uh,
say, probably.
uh, and our final topic for the afternoon is the Nintendo AR cards that have been coming out with the 3DS. With the release, Nintendo's providing several augmented reality cards that provide special 3D projections when you hold them in front of the 3DS camera. And I think this is a really cool concept. I mean, it's stupid. There's no point to it yet, but the fact that they could have these things because the augmented reality cards, they work on like a special code that the camera reads, and it projects a 3D image on top of it. They could do this for like advertising or something. Like they have a special code in the corner of the ad. You whip out your 3DS and show it on the ad, and it shows like a special 3D scene from the game.
Hmm.
That would be pretty damn cool.
Hmm.
And or I would love to see this done as like a card game, like a card game that I could actually play. But if you have the 3DS, you could actually see the creatures or characters that you're summoning and using, and like have them represented as like a 3D version of the board. I think that would be awesome.
Isn't that what they did in like what was the fuck was it called?
I have Judgment.
I have no. It was some stupid, pathetic anime. I think was it Yu-Gi-Oh? Didn't that use cards that had 3D projections?
Um,
I
think
never
it was
I
watched it.
guess, but that was just kind of an anime representation of the cards.
Yeah.
But but this would be just like an actual, because they have games like this. I mean, you have to wear these augmented reality glasses, but you can play the cards out and you can actually move them around, and it'll project like a radius of attack. Then you can move the cards around, and actually they will like fire at each other.
Hmm.
Like they're like towers with cannons and stuff, and it's really fucking cool because you can play this on any surface, and it just looks, and depending on the surface you play it on, it'll change like the terrain or whatever. And I just think that's a really cool idea. I mean, I like video games, but I also like unplugged types of games, like board games and card games. I think that's a really neat idea to take to be able to do this kind of stuff with outside of a board game, because outside of a video game, because this stuff kind of, it predates video games really.
Well,
So you're dealing with these concepts. You have to make things more simple.
I mean,
Yeah.
you
So you
say
can't-
it's without video games, but you still need your DS. You know, your 3DS, and you have
true
to
enough.
use the
But I mean,
camera on it.
it's the technology itself that I think is really cool.
Hmm.
I can understand that, but meanwhile, I'm sitting over here feeling like an old fart because I'm just like, just give me my controller.
Yeah. Give me the stick with a single button on top. You know, let me shoot those aliens down.
Let me defend the Earth from the space invaders.
It was Afterburner. Sorry. Cultural reference.
Yes, I'm sure nobody will understand what that's from.
I can't really think of anything to say about the cards.
I mean, the first I've ever heard of them. So, yeah.
Well, they had these people that built like a one the size of like a welcome mat, and it projected this huge human-sized Mario into the picture.
I could see someone shrieking in terror from that.
Yeah, but you'd have to look through your DS, or
You'd have to look through the DS to
which
see
kind
it.
of
Yeah.
takes the element out of it.
But I mean, if you think about it, this kind of technology, um, just look into the future, like 20, 30 years, with this kind of technology, when you're no longer buying a console. You're just buying just a handheld system that has your video games, your phone, your internet, everything on it. Everything rolled into one device. You don't need a home computer anymore because technology has shrunken so much that a portable system can be just as powerful as a desktop system.
Just one step closer to that hollow deck.
Yeah, exactly. And then like you can look around, and you saw Minority Report, right?
I saw it, didn't really remember it.
Well, they had like these directed 3D ads, or they would like scan your eyes and they'd know your
Oh
name.
yeah, I remember
They'd
that.
know you by your name. It's like, David, you would like this game, and it has no idea what you like, but
Eh.
it's like, or maybe it does know what you like because it reads your playlist, like the games that you've played, and it's like, hey, you would like this game right here, and it calls you by name.
It's pretty much like the emails you get from Amazon and eBay when you buy stuff, basically, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's as we have current technology. Think about how advertising is going to change in the next decade or so.
Yay, rather than being
It's
able
going to
to
be even
switch
more
the
targeted.
TV off when that fucking Go Compare advert comes on, I'm going to have to close my eyes and stick my fingers in my ear in public. That's going to be good. Sorry.
Yeah, and it's like Futurama made the joke of advertising in your dreams.
Yeah.
I don't think that's too far fetched.
Scary
Yeah, but
though.
that's an invasion of privacy. I'm sure it is.
And and people complain about it, but I think it's going to be really cool. I can't wait for the future.
Well, you're going to have to wait 1 second at a time.
Hey,
I
we're
mean,
closer
yeah, I
now
was going
than
to
we were
say,
when we
we're closer now than
we're
we are
closer
before.
now than we were when we started the show.
Yeah.
Time's just going by so fast.
You know the fact that everybody can travel through time. It's just we can
Very
only travel
slowly.
very slowly forward.
I can only travel forward at 1 second per second.
Yeah.
I actually defined that as a standard time travel in a. I wrote a research paper about time travel, and I defined that as any. I define time travel as any movement of time outside of natural time travel, which is 1 second forward per second.
Mm.
If I had my Watchmen comic book sitting near here, I'd probably feel tempted to start quoting Doctor Manhattan.
Okay.
I have my Watchmen comic sitting on my shelf.
Never read it.
You really should. It's a very good comic.
I know. You've gone on about it before. I've never read the comic. I haven't even seen the film. I'll get
The
round.
comic is much
It's
better
on
than the
my list.
film.
It's on my to-do list. All right. It's a
I'm not one to
10-year
talk
rolling
about
program. Give me
lists.
chance.
I'm not one to talk about to-do lists.
Yes, you and your what is it? Well, it's not 53 games. It's more like 39 or something now, isn't it?
I think it's down to about 35.
Getting there.
Yeah, slowly. Anyway, so we can finish up today by just talking about the games we've been playing. Who wants to start?
I have been playing. Sorry, I have been playing Indigo Prophecy.
I saw that pop up on your Steam. How's that?
Actually, it's very enjoyable. I've tried to play it a few times in the past, but it's a very difficult game to get into because the control system is really different. I mean, you have the basic thing, and you can move your character forward, back, left, right, etc. But interaction isn't just like you press a button and something happens. You actually have to move your mouse around to actually control the actual actions of your character, which is
So it's kind of sort of a point and click thing.
it is and it isn't. It's hard to explain. Basically, when you come up to doing something, you'll get a little circle will pop up at the top, and then you press the mouse button down, and a little red dot appears, and then a line will appear, and you have to follow the movement of the line with the dot, which is represented by where your mouse is. So you have to move the mouse along the line in order to perform the action.
Oh,
It
so it's kind of like a circular action selection thing.
it's something like that. It's more complicated. It's hard to explain in words. It's something you kind of have to see to fully explain it.
I could look up a video.
Yeah, if you look on YouTube, there's probably a ton of videos for it, and it's a good game. It's the kind of game where there's more focus on the story and the characters and their development than it is on actual gameplay. Because a lot of gameplay is just basically wandering around various rooms and the action, which I've already talked about, and the other half of the gameplay is quick time events, basically.
Oh dear.
Yeah, like you have these
Oh,
two little things flap up, and you got to hit up, down, left, right, or up and down and left and right, and all these different combinations, which are actually kind of cool when you're doing them because they appear in the middle of the screen. You can also keep an eye on what's going on, what your character is actually doing, and they have these really elaborate set pieces on some of them. Some of them are really interesting. It's weird because they also have some of the action sequences have really elaborate pieces, and others have really dull pieces behind them. And it's interesting that the quick time events, when you're doing something actiony, it actually feels actiony. When you're doing something really dull like dancing, it actually feels like you're doing a dull sequence, which is really weird. But it's the kind of game where the story is the main point. I think even sort of the people who made the game say it's more like an interactive movie than it is a video game, which is a
Kind
fair.
of like Heavy Rain in that sense.
I think sort of Heavy Rain is the spiritual successor to Indigo Prophecy. I think even Zero
The same company
Punctuation
made it.
says. I don't know if it was the same company. I don't own a PS3, so I haven't really looked into Heavy Rain in any real way. But I mean, I don't. I mean, Indigo Prophecy's been out for several years. If you can pick up a cheap copy, I would recommend it. It's a good game. It's got a good story. I mean, the build up is great. The letdown isn't. It's a bit of a letdown. It's not a huge letdown, but it's not as cool as the ending as you were expecting it to be, or at least I wasn't for me anyway. But
I think we lost him again.
I guess that's his cutoff point. Well, we'll try to get Oi back in a bit. Until then, Ozzy, what have you been playing recently?
Three games in particular. I've been playing Marvel vs. Capcom 3, which I think Duke CT said he was playing that too when you had him on recently.
Yeah.
Uh, I've been enjoying it. I don't really get a lot of the hate it gets, although I will say the ranked matchmaking system is crap. Aside from that, I've been playing Comic Jumper, which is kind of fun. It's I'd describe Captain Smiley as like a combination of Earthworm Jim and Deadpool.
Wow.
And aside from that, I've been playing Resident Evil for GameCube because I'm going to be reviewing it next month, and I need to, get through it and get all the footage for that. Find it particularly more enjoyable than the original PlayStation version because I can actually aim at stuff. That's about it for me.
I've been playing. Do we have him back yet? The call failed. Oh well. I guess he's not going to be able to sign off today. Well, I have been playing. I really have been playing pretty much the same games that I was playing last time. I played a little bit of Diablo 2, and my friend and I just finished Borderlands again. Well, again, for me is the first time for him, and then we started doing the DLC. We did the Zombie Island of Dr. Ned, which is exactly as you'd think it would be, because I really didn't like that level going solo, but with the second person, it's much more fun. Because you're like calling out to each other, Defiler, look out, aim for the head. It's like, there's guys behind you, and you can like watch each other's back. Because that was one of the big problems I had playing as the hunter. Because as you're trying to line up your headshots with these zombies with your sniper rifle, another zombie would come up behind you and gnaw your face off.
Yeah, the hunter sucks solo. That was who I used.
But although the hunter, when I managed to max out, I managed to find a class mod that gave me +3 to birds of prey, and then I maxed out carrion call, and I have a really high fire rate sniper rifle. So I could just send out Bloodwing. He'll attack 5 zombies with a level 4 fire elemental, kill every single one of them, and then I just have to shoot, and then I just have to have 4 hits with my sniper rifle, and then I can summon Bloodwing again. And my hunter is just fucking broken now.
But yeah, I remember when I played that. I didn't really care for most of it, but I did like the zombie DLC when I was playing it with somebody.
Yeah, the zombie DLC is a lot more fun when you're playing with someone.
The Armory, the DLC was kind of fun too, but the main game just felt like it was dragging on for me.
I think he's off. Yeah, he's off. No, he's online. There he is. Okay. Ring, 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 ring.
Banana phone.
And Oi is back now. Yay.
yay, sorry,
Eh.
my internet is wanky.
Oh well.
I'd pretty much finished saying what I was saying. I think
Yeah, and
it's a good game.
Yeah. We just talked about what we were doing,
Yeah.
and we talked about the Zombie Island of Dr. Ned. If you have anything to add to that.
Enjoyable. It's always nice to see zombies in video games.
Yeah, I found that it was a lot more fun with a second person than when I played through on my own.
Yeah. But yeah, that's it.
So yeah, well, before we have any more technical issues, I guess we should sign off.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next time on Gamers
Yeah.
Without Borders. Be sure to visit reviewersunknown.com or testzerosblog.blogspot.com or popheadgaming.blogspot.com to see all of our stuff. And of course, planetarcane.blogspot.com to see Ozzie's own things. Until then, this is Test Zero.
This is Oi.
This is Ozzie.
Later.